D, wait for it, light bulb.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I finished Star Trek Picard's episode 10 and the season finale. And true to form, this episode was so boring and so lackluster. It was just ridiculous. But before I get into my review, I just want to say that if you like what I do and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. Now, YouTube recently, a couple months back, did a bot and old account cleanse / purge, and there was a lot of collateral damage. So consider liking, subscribing, and sharing my videos, and I thank you in advance. So as I was saying about this episode, it was just, there were things that I liked about this episode. I'm not gonna lie, like, which I'll talk about a little bit more, but like the Data and the Picard having a conversation, a real conversation, I enjoyed that immensely. It was very nostalgic of the old show, and I enjoyed it. I'll talk about a little bit after what happened after that conversation, but there were things that I did like, and I will talk about those as we get to them. So why don't we just stop beating around the bush and we get to this episode. So it starts off where Narek flees his synth captors and meets Rizzo, his sister, who has been hiding out on the ruins of the artifact, aka the Borg cube. And she asks him if, during this scene, if he's fucked any of the synthetics that he came in contact. And this line was so ridiculous. I was like, what is going on right now? I mean, right off the bat, they're just starting off with this nonsense. And I'm all like, this is a crazy sister. Like, she definitely wants to fuck her brother. And I'm just like, gross. So then Narek loads up on explosives and heads out, and he is followed closely by Elnor. So they just head off into the desert. Now, Rizzo stays behind on the cube to man the weapon systems for when the Romulans show up, and she's going to help them out. Meanwhile, Picard is still imprisoned in Coppelius Station and tries to convince Soji to stop the beacon, which she's currently helping to build. In Sung's lab, where we are reminded of his plan to download a human consciousness into a synthetic body, which will come up later. And then on the grounded La Sirena, Rios repairs the ship's engines by simply imagining them being fixed, using a device given to him by Saga. That was so, it was like magic and everything. It was so crazy, so stupid too. It's like a little machine, and then I like how Saga before was all like, it fixes things, and then yeah, it does with your mind powers. It's so stupid. Anyways, the Synth Sutra and Narek murder her earlier, and then I'll talk about that. There's a lot going on in this episode, and it's just so rushed. It's ridiculous. I can't handle it. And I'm laughing a lot because this episode and this show is laughable. It's so ridiculous. Now, Narek turns up at the La Sirena and tells Rios, Elnor, and Rafi about the synths and their beacon and how allowing it to be completed will result in all organic life in the galaxy being eliminated. And then they reluctantly agree to help him. This scene was fine, but I was just like, again, wasting more time. They should have set this stuff up way sooner. There was a lot of filler episodes for this show. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of it was when they did all those rewrites and reshoots and everything. So, as I was saying, then Song watches a recording of Saga's last moments, realizing that Sutra was involved in her murder. He confronts her, angered by her actions, then knocks her unconscious. Pretending Narek is their prisoner, Rios and the others gain access to Coppelius Station, and Sung spots them, but after being stung by Sutra's betrayal, he is now on their side. I tell you right now, it's just so, I can't talk about how much ridiculousness is going on in this episode, and it's so rushed. Like, they're like, we have to hurry up and fill all the gaps, which they don't do. And I'll do a separate video for that, and I'll talk about a lot of this stuff and the characters separately when I do a season 1 review. So then Rios tosses a bomb hidden in a soccer ball at the beacon, but Soji catches it and throws it to safety before it has a chance to destroy the beacon. Now, in orbit, the Romulan fleet finally arrives, led by Commander O, and she orders the fleet to sterilize the planet as Picard, who escaped captivity with a little help from Girardi, pilots the La Sirena just as the Romulans are about to scorch the planet. The little flowers come up, and they're just basically like a shield and basically target practice for the Romulans. They destroy a couple of ships, but so ridiculous. But they just fan out, and the Romulans are like, hey, target practice. So they shoot them all and they destroy it. And then Girardi is hit. She just has a brainwave. She uses the Saga's repair tool, the magic device, to create thousands of clones of the La Sirena, kind of like what Narek did in the previous episode. So then O orders the fleet to attack them instead, buying enough time for Starfleet to arrive with a fleet of its own. On the crashed artifact, aka the Borg Cube, 7 of 9 kills Rizzo before she has a chance to engage its weapons and help the Romulan fleet above. Now, this scene was fine. There was a lot of fighting going on, and I liked it a lot. It showed 7 of 9 as a bad ace. But yeah, I just like I said, everything's just so rushed. I just don't care. So, above, William Rycker, who has returned to Starfleet as an acting captain, orders the Romulans to stand down. I loved this. I love seeing Rycker as a captain. I hope they do it more for season 2. Because it was just fantastic, him showing up in his ship and, with his suit on and sitting in the chair. It was just great. So on the planet below, Soji completes the beacon, and it shoots off into space, and giant centipede-like tentacles / machines, presumably sent by the higher beings who created the Abno mission, begin to spill through a portal. But Picard manages to convince Soji to stop it, saying if she does, she'll become the destroyer the Romulan said she would be, being all like, oh, don't give in to fear, and all that crap that he keeps saying throughout this entire show. And it's so ridiculous. I'm so annoyed with this whole thing. So then the portal snaps shut as the beacon is shut down, taking the machines with it. The Romulans stand down and warp away. And then Picard thanks Riker for always having his back. And I liked that also. I liked their interactions, Picard and Riker. It was really good to see. It's really good to see these nostalgic moments, and I'll talk about that a little bit at the end, but there's not enough of them, and they're far and few between. So then Picard collapses. The brain condition his doctor warned him about has become critical, and he dies. Or does he? He wakes up in a strange house with Data sitting across from him. They're inside a quantum simulation, and then Data says that and they have a conversation during this time, and like I said before, this was a good scene. I enjoyed it immensely. They had the guy that plays Data, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he had his face pulled back, and he had the fake wig on, and the skin all, make-upped up and everything, and it was really nice to see them interacting. Like I said, it was very nostalgic, and I enjoyed it immensely. I just don't understand why they can't capture this throughout the entire show and the entire season. So then Data says to him, he says he has a favor to ask of him, and he wants Picard to shut his consciousness down because dying gives life meaning. And then Picard wakes up, and his mind has been transferred to a synthetic body designed to look and age exactly like his old one. And that was the Golem that they were building, which, everybody saw this coming, him dying and being put in the Golem. It was ridiculous that we wouldn't see it coming. Anyways, so he removes the device keeping Data's consciousness active. And we see a vision of him aging like a human and dying peacefully with Picard by his side. This was a little sad for me because I thought it was a bad choice to kill off Data, with this whole Golem body transfer thing. There's always a way you can bring back Data, always. And I think that this was a bad choice, in my opinion. But I don't make these decisions. I just watch them and critique them and criticize them like I'm doing now. So then the crew of the La Sirena gathers on the bridge and heads off into space, ready for more adventures in season 2, which will, I'm curious to see what they'll do. They're bringing on Mark Bernardin, who I enjoy immensely. I think he's a really good writer, but he's not writing on the show as of yet. And then Michael Chabon is leaving the show as the showrunner. Good, because he's obviously, in my opinion, done a horrible job thus far. And I just think that they could have done more. This episode for a finale was very blah, like I feel about this whole season. Almost every episode I've complained because it's just so boring. And like I said before, those nostalgic moments, you don't have to have the old characters in there to get the Star Trek feel. The spaceship battles, the spaceship battle in this episode was boring, and you don't need the original. Generations didn't have, Next Generation didn't have an overwhelming amount of space battles, but what they lacked in space battles, they made up for in the human connection that we as the audience got from these characters and the characters got from each other. But this show didn't do that. I didn't care about any of these characters, including Picard, and I didn't feel like they had a connection with each other besides knowing each other's name. And I'll talk about that more when I do my season 1 review, but I just have to say that this episode was boring, blah, and badly written, and I say shame on you, Michael Chabon, because I believe he wrote this episode by himself. And I just go, what is your problem? You are an award-winning writer, and you can't write an episode of television, which makes me go, okay, maybe writing books and scripts are two totally different things. And oh gosh, I cannot remember his name off the top of my head. The writer of Watchmen. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm going to remember as soon as I hit the record button to stop recording. But he wrote an article saying like the difference between writing comic books and scripts and all this stuff. And it's very interesting. I suggest you go check it out. But yeah, so this, long story short, this is not a great show, but I will watch season 2 because I can't not watch Star Trek. I as soon as you say Star Trek, I'm immediately like, fine, I'm watching it because I want to, but I'm gonna hate watch it unless it turns out to be good, and I'll be like, hey. But there was just so many things they could have done and they should have done, but they didn't. And I'll talk about that more when I do my season 1 review, which hopefully I'll have that done by the end of this weekend. So listen, what did you guys think about this season finale for Star Trek Picard season 1? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your favorite part? What part did you not like? Are you like me and you thought it was super boring? Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next Star Trek video. You guys have a good day. Live long and prosper. Bye.